Hey y'all, hi. Okay, so this year on YouTube, I have made a lot of videos about personal style, which I love doing because to me, personal style is like an act of care for the self that extends beyond the self. Both because other people usually see what you're wearing, but also because the person that it makes you into when you feel synergized with the fabrics you're wearing is usually a person who's more open to connection with other people. And judging from your comments on my videos this year, I think a lot of you feel the same. It's like being empowered to dress better and actually go after what you want in your wardrobe has surprisingly emotional and deep-reaching impacts. So I think through this lens a lot when I'm trying to decide what to talk about on YouTube. And lately I've been thinking a lot about how most people get up in the morning and get dressed as part of their morning and what that actually looks like. But as I've been mulling over this, I keep coming back over and over to an aspect of my personal morning routine this past year that I feel like is so critical to my well-being that it overshadows everything else. So that's what this video is actually about. And it does connect to personal style. I'll show you how in a minute. And I think it especially is going to connect to personal style for me in the new year. But the singular strategy itself is both much simpler and potentially more difficult than getting dressed ever is. Let's get right into the meat of the video. So let me tell you how my morning usually goes, and you tell me if you can spot what is missing, because it is a thing that I am not doing. I wake up because our alarm clock is going off. Joe is usually already up on weekdays when I wake up. I lie there for a bit. If I'm super tired, I'll be fighting falling back asleep. I try to remember to recite a few things I'm grateful for, out loud under my breath. I think that has a huge impact on my life, but I often forget to do that. That's not the number one self-care trick. I often feel like I've been hit by a bus at that moment. It's fine. So then I get up, I go to the kitchen, I make a matcha before going to get my toddler up. And then he and I make a fire together in the fireplace. And then we all have breakfast and then we get him off to school. And after that, I get ready to move my body. I find that it helps if as soon as the door closes behind my husband and toddler, I go straight to put on my workout clothes before I sit down, before I do anything else. And then if I'm high functioning, I go and put in a load of laundry before I do anything else. Another really helpful thing that is not the specific number one self-care strategy. It could be though. At this part of the morning, if my child is off to school and I'm in my workout clothes and there's a load of laundry in, I have done it. I have made it to this first benchmark. About 1 hour has passed since I woke up and I'm in good shape. And then, and only then, and not before then, I go and I do something that you may or may not have noticed I did not do before this moment in the morning. I pick up my cellular phone. 1 full hour after waking, I pick up my phone for the first time that day. I've gone a whole hour of consciousness without even touching it. And now I touch it, but I still don't check my email or my messages, and I don't open Instagram or anything like the YouTube creator app. Good God, no. And in fact, this is a good time to tell you that I have all the notifications turned off on my phone. This too is not exactly the number one self-care trick, but it is deeply related. The phone only makes a sound of any kind if I've set an alarm or if someone calls me during work hours, during daytime hours. No apps are authorized to make a buzz or a bing or a ping or a beep or a blip or a boop if I get a message or an update or a comment or a heart or something like that. No apps except Trainwell have notifications turned on. Trainwell is my personal training app, which I've been using for over a year, which you'll know if you've been watching me this year, and which my husband, Joe, also now uses, and our sponsor on this video today, for which I am so grateful because Joe and I both love Trainwell. We are here in our house, working from home, struggling to recover physically from the crucible that is the first 2 years of parenthood. And it's like we both have personal trainers. I mean, we do both have personal trainers. Each of us has a personal trainer who knows us and our issues and our patterns. So Chris, my Trainwell trainer, when she sends me a message, it does ping. It's the only one. And I need that because I need to feel always like someone else is in invested in my success or failure when it comes to this thing that is pretty challenging for me, which is exercising regularly. But I'm going to tell you more about trainwell in a minute because I want to get back to this critical part of my morning routine. Though I will say now that there is a promotion that coordinates with the sponsorship of this video. So you can take the quiz to find your perfect trainer and get 14 days of free training if you go through my link, which will be in the description box down below, or you can use the QR code, which we will put up on the screen here. But again, I'll give you more details about trainwell in a minute. Here's the thing. If someone sends me an email at any given time, actually ever, I don't need to know the second that it comes through. Like, that is an extreme way to live. It is extreme. I don't need to hear a noise, no matter what else I'm doing, that interrupts my concentration and makes me wonder what it is. Same with a text. Certainly the same with like a comment or a thumbs up on social media. Many people are always sending information to me and to you. By turning off all of those noises, I make it so that I go to those people on my terms. I choose when I make myself available. And that is absolutely, to me, absolutely essential to the peace in my like inner space that is required for me to have a stabilized sense of self and to get ideas and make decisions and like focus on tasks. But more than tasks, actually, for me, it really is about like the creativity that comes from having a relationship with oneself. Like with every day that passes, I get to know myself better by dwelling with myself. And it is that getting to know myself better that gives rise to ideas that I can act on. Ideas like starting a Patreon podcast with Joe, or like an idea for a piece of writing that I want to actually make, like sit down and write, or even just like a kind of self-improvement, like deciding that I want to work on making better eye contact with people when I'm in conversation. I need uninterrupted time with myself for the train of thought, so to speak. I mean, this is like really reductive, but for the train to leave the station, meander through the mountain passes, and then eventually wind its way back to the station and complete the loop, like come on home on its own. That whole thing has to happen for actual growth to take place. But if my phone notifications are turned on, I never get to be alone with myself because someone is always popping in. And even if I don't pick up the phone, it's still, that noise breaks the solitude. So it's like I'm sitting here developing, like trying to develop, and I keep like having to hit the reset button, kind of start back over. And then the train just never fully leaves the station. So back to my morning. Are you still with me? All of those notifications are turned off and I've made it an hour without being like buffeted by the winds of other people's urgencies. I've done that first by leaving the phone untouched for 1 hour. Now I pick it up and I still stay unbuffeted because at this time of day, I only ever open 2 apps on my phone. One is Spotify, which is my music listening app of choice, and the other is trainwell. And with the help of those 2 in tandem, I often manage to make it yet another entire hour without opening myself up to the addictive, brain scrambling inputs of the rest of the internet. So now a brief rundown of Trainwell, our sponsor today. It's a one-on-one personal training service. So you take a quiz that pairs you with your perfect trainer, and then you do an onboarding call with your trainer, which is glorious, to make a personalized plan that works for your life. My biggest issue with exercise has always been consistency, but it's like more specifically than that, it's like learning to like it. It's hard for me to like it. And sometimes I think it's like psychological, like the mature part of myself, the adult part of myself actually does like it, but there's something in me, sort of like an old wound maybe, that just won't give, refuses to admit that I like it. A lot of us have issues, I think, with it, like this with exercise. And it's embarrassing, So it's hard. It can be hard to ask for help in any way with this kind of thing. But my trainer, Chris, is so amazing about working with my logistical issues and personal hangups around exercise. She's not trying to make me into someone I'm not. She never makes me feel bad. She's just there to support me, right? To make it so that I'm not alone, but also to calibrate, and if necessary, and it sometimes is, recalibrate a workout plan that is realistic for me so that I actually do it. And then to be some accountability for me, right? To be another person who knows when I actually do it and would know if I didn't do it. My husband, Joe, has also started using trainwell this year after watching me do it and being envious. And he has had maybe an even more dramatic experience than me because he tends to really go hard with routines, but he's recovering from some muscle damage and he has to work around an old back injury. Vigorous exercise he needs it, but it also makes him nervous because he's worried about re-injuring himself. So it's like a physical, but also a psychological barrier. His trainer has provided this magical combination of motivational support and understanding flexibility. And when Joe started working with him, I mean, from my perspective as an outside observer, he really turned the corner, both physically and emotionally. Both of us using trainwell in the house has also showcased how personalized it is because our routines and our way of interacting with our trainers is really different for both of us. So I wake up an hour later, I pick up my phone for the first time, but only to open Trainwell and Spotify. Is it hard to resist opening other apps at that moment? Depending on the day, sometimes it very much is. When I'm having a bad week, when I'm anxious about the workday, when I'm really tired and I just want to crawl right back in bed and I'm feeling like I deserve a treat already just because I've made it through the first hour of the day, especially then. Yeah, it can be really hard not to open Instagram just to get that dopamine hit or to check my emails. Like for what? To see if there's anything good, as if there ever is. Like what would that even be? But the interesting thing is this, the longer it becomes my habit, like the longer it has become my habit not to go online, essentially, in any way, shape, or form, or check my messages, the longer it becomes my habit not to do that, the easier it becomes to resist. Because I've been doing it for most of the year, when I get to this point where my workout clothes are on, the laundry is in, at that precious critical moment, usually I don't want to know. Like I don't want to know what I will find if I do any of those dopamine releasing button pushing activities. Like if I check in at that moment, I don't want to know what the news headline is or what sound is trending or if any brands have emailed me. Because if I find any of that out at that precious moment in the morning, then I will be thinking about those things and I'll never find out what I would have thought about if I hadn't let those things into my brain space. It's like it's either them or me. It's either them or you. And you kind of only get one chance in the morning to stay in the state of having not let them in yet. So if I break it, I can't go back. It's like if I break it, then it's them. I've chosen them or I've let them override me. And these days, for that reason, I'm not even tempted. So what do I do? Okay, what do? I put on my headphones and I either go for a walk or do a workout. And actually, this side note about Trainwell, this is one of my favorite new features that they've introduced this year. They made it so that you can have a plan A and a plan B on any given day. I want to be doing the strength training workouts as much as possible. I'm doing the workouts as much as possible, but it helps me so much to have a second option if I'm having a really bad time or if there are extenuating circumstances, if I'm super short on time, if I can feel that just for my mental health, the thing that I need the most is to get outside in nature for a little bit, but there's only time to do one thing. It helps so much. And actually, the most amazing thing has happened to me this fall, which is just the access that I have now that I've like given myself to walking outside. Walking outside has been so head clearing for me. And I've benefited so much from just having that time with myself to let the train go and meander through the hills that I have started finding myself going out walking on days when it's not even scheduled for me in the app. Like I don't even have any workouts scheduled. And I have found myself, and this is even more radical to me, going on a walk before working out, even on days when I do have a strength training workout scheduled. This is wild for me. It's like when I started using Trainwell at the end of last year, I was struggling to make any form of exercise at all a meaningful part of my daily routine. Here I am at the end of this year, and I am now sitting here before you, a person for whom a walk in the morning is so important that it doesn't even feel like exercise. Like it doesn't even feel like exercise, but it is exercise. And it's doing something else which is contributing to the core of the self-care tactic that I am actually here to unpack and examine and offer to you today. It is extending the length of time between when I first wake up and when I first lay eyes on a message or an email or a reel. So if I walk for 30 minutes and then do a 20-minute trainwell strength training workout, that's another hour. And now I've gone 2 hours without going online since I woke up. And I feel like that is really the sweet spot for me, right? I mean, I am like, again, like a depressed artist. So for me, that is really the sweet spot. Really enough time for me to get myself together before entering the fray. And I don't really mean that in a planning way, like planning for the day, or in a resting way, like taking a break. For me, again, it is really about creativity, like letting the mind go unbothered for a significant while. And you might think, who has time to do that? Like, what a luxury. I don't have any time to let my mind wander. I'm so busy. I always have to go straight from one thing to the next. I'm going to address that in a second when I talk about how this strategy can look different across different life circumstances. We'll talk about how you can make it work for you, even if your life is structured really differently from mine. But what I was going to say is that for me, it really is about giving some leeway to the mind on its own before the rest of the day starts so that I can take that more settled version of myself into the day. And now we have arrived at personal style, getting dressed. I have to admit that depending on the workday that I'm about to have, I often dive right in as soon as I get back from my walk or as soon as the strength training workout is over. It's like I've held out until then. And then as soon as I'm done with the part of my morning where I move my body, I'm like, okay, what's going on? I wish it wasn't that way. It's not even critical then that I go online. I'm just working on pushing the line forward. So my dream is this. I finish the walk, for example, I get home from my walk and then I keep not checking my email until I've showered and dressed. And then I'm put together and then I sit down to work for the day with all of that behind me. And then and only then do I check my messages of every kind for the first time. I would like that to be fully dressed after having gone through like my morning interaction with my wardrobe. I would like first to go through my morning interaction with my wardrobe and then after that to experience my first encounter with the clamor and anxiety of the age of information. For some of us, getting dressed is the most creative time of the day. Like for some of you, I know that your personal style is the main outlet for your creativity. As I've been discussing, like creativity is one of the things, or maybe the thing that can benefit the most from preserving some of the quiet of your waking hours. So there's a real chance that just by resisting looking at your phone before you get dressed on any given day, by just doing that, you might change your relationship with your wardrobe dramatically and find yourself dressing in a way that you kind of couldn't access before. So let's talk about how you might implement this for yourself and kind of troubleshoot a few different lifestyle situations. What I will say is that for anyone, the moment of truth is when you first wake up. No matter what your morning routine looks like, if you are sleeping with your phone right next to your head and the first thing you do as soon as you crack your little eyes open in the morning is pick up your phone, look at the screen and check your messages, there is a very good chance that you don't have to be doing that. I know some people have really high stakes jobs and do need to know like what has been emailed to them pretty early in the morning. That's really different from my job. And I give you that. But I think you can still ask yourself, how much space can you make for yourself? Like compared to how it is now, how much time can you give yourself for the train to leave the station, wind through the mountains, and then return after you wake up? Or if you already have a part of your morning routine where you make space for yourself, like a workout or a meditation or a walk or something like that, can you link that part of your morning to your waking up? Like make it so you go straight into that part of your morning without checking on the internet in between. That could be the small, like difficult, but not that difficult change that makes a radical difference. Like what will happen in that in-between space, right? What will happen if you suddenly have a whole hour before you know what is going on out there or what is coming to your door? What will you think about? What will you think about? Isn't it exciting to potentially be going to give yourself the chance to find out? Okay, so let's say you're a person with a really high stakes job and everyone expects you to be reading your emails and responding to your emails essentially from the moment that you wake up. And that's your habit. So one way to make this change is to just link whatever it is you do first in the morning with your just awakened brain and just save checking your emails for right after that. So if the first thing you do when you wake up is make coffee, just save it until after you make coffee and treat the moment you're done making coffee the way you've been treating the moment you open your eyes. Or if you take a shower, again, just wait, just hold out for a little bit longer until after you've taken a shower. And this, it seems like small, but it's huge. It's huge. If what you're doing now is you wake up, you're immediately on your email and like on Slack. I don't even know what Slack is. I just know people who use it. So if you're slacking while you are making your coffee and then you're like in your email while you're drinking your coffee and then you hop in the shower and then you get back on as soon as you get out of the shower. If that's what you usually do in your morning and like that's like your workflow, that's the way you interact with your job. What if you just wake up, make coffee, shower, and then get on it? Like that is a huge change, even though it's just shifting things by like 20 minutes. Just shifting things by like 20 minutes. And so practically, and especially in terms of the way it will appear to anyone else who you work with, it's practically the same as if you just had slept in for 20 minutes and not opened your phone until you woke up. Do you see what I mean? So let's say you're someone with a commute to work. You wake up and you're out the door within 20 or 30 minutes, and then you have like another 30 minutes where you're commuting. In that situation, especially if your work doesn't demand it, you are beautifully situated to easily go at least an hour, if not like 90 minutes after waking up before you let everyone in. If you listen to some kind of media during your commute, you can queue it up in advance. So it's ready for you and you just have to push play. Or you could do what I do and just have like targeted apps that you open. And that requires being able to resist the allure of Instagram and your email. But if you can do that, it's like, can you make it physically to work without checking your email before you get there? Or can you make it physically to work without opening Instagram or without checking your messages before you get there? Will something bad happen if you wait that long after waking up before you open any of those apps? I'm not trying to tell you what to do. Am I? But maybe something that already bad is happening because you don't know yourself without them. If you do a kind of job that requires you to check the news first thing in the morning, like if you have to know what the news all is by the time you arrive at your job, I get that. That is also different from my job. But how early do you need to know? How very early do you need to know? That's what I'm asking. I think you get the point by now. Or are you a person who can actually arrive at work without having seen the headlines, let alone like the trending sounds of today's biggest TikToks or whatever? I'm not saying you shouldn't be an informed person. And I'm not saying you should not be a person who is caught up on all of that information on any given day. But does it have to happen first thing in the morning? And what would your life be like? And what would you be like if it didn't? What would your life be like if you chose your lunch hour as the time when you get caught up on all that stuff? Maybe really different. Okay, I think you get the point. My personal version of this, like my New Year's resolution version of this, is to try to extend the bubble, the internet-free bubble, to encompass getting dressed and have that be like a lovely oasis of calm. And only after then do I sit down and enter the informational fray. And the thing is, it won't actually reduce my connectedness in a meaningful way. Like it won't make me less plugged in a meaningful way because I will still be plugging in every day. But I do think that having the silence, essentially, I think having the silent part of my morning encompass the personal style part of my morning will make getting dressed an even more creative and pleasurable daily joy. So if you'd like to join me, if you want to, let us know in the comments what this might look like for you. Because I tried to brainstorm like the ways this might look in different people's lives, but I don't know. Like there are so many different ways a morning can go and ways a life can go. So let us know what it might look like for you and like how it looks now, like what the change will be and what the meaningful difference will be. At what point in the morning do you currently check your phone for the first time? And at what point in your morning are you going to move that act to, or grammatically, to which point in the morning are you going to move that act? How much space can you buy yourself? And how hard do you think it is going to be for you to face the silence and to lean into it, so to speak? For me, this year, this act has been a remarkable development in my morning routine that has given me back something that I I didn't even realize I had lost, except for that my brain was feeling so scrambled all the time and I was feeling like anxious and behind all the time. Ironically, it's like trying to get ahead by always being plugged in makes you feel more like you are behind all the time. Lots of noise in my brain, lots of baseless anxiety going nowhere. That has all kind of calmed down since I've made this change. So I'm really glad that it occurred to me to tell you this. And I'm actually feeling really glad, really grateful to have this platform and to be able to make the suggestion to you here at the end of the year. And grateful to Trainwell for sponsoring a video that allowed me to kind of elaborate on this very, very valuable way of approaching one's relationship to media. So again, if you think that Trainwell could also be a meaningful part of your morning routine or of your New Year's resolution, you can get 14 days of free training through my link. If you click through, you can take the quiz to find your perfect trainer. I'll put the QR code up on the screen again, so you can also scan that and get through to it that way. And I think it will automatically apply the promotion. I appreciate you all so much for being here. I don't think that this is the last video of the year, but this is one of the ones that feels the most like end of year vibes, you know, like introspection and reflection. And as part of that introspection and reflection, I am so grateful for you. I'm so grateful that you're here and I love being connected with all of you. So thank you for that. And really, don't forget to take extra good care of yourself so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the